Alrighty, welcome to the second episode of the Friends Insight. I'm Graham.
I'm Emery.
And I'm Carson.
And today, our topic is going to be about where did all the real men go? And kind of a weird question and a weird thing to talk about today. But the basic idea behind this is, it was spurned from a book that I read. It's by The Art of Manliness. Shout out to Art of Manliness and Brett McKay. And he wrote this kind of instructional book about how to be a real man. And as I was reading it, he was talking about how the world today, we've kind of fallen into this mindset that being a man is having a six-pack abs and drinking beer and rah, 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 and that sort of thing.
You can get six-pack abs while drinking beer.
How much beer you drink?
If you can, tell me your secrets. I'd like to know. Not that I drink beer, just I want six-pack abs.
But that's kind of the mindset that we've fallen into, and we've kind of we've stopped characterizing men as real men with integrity and honor and respect towards women, and that are actually skilled, and we've characterized men as Freddie Flintstone and cavemen, and that's who we think that real men are. And
so monkey man.
Monkey men.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a monkey man, but I mean,
Monkey.
yeah, I can see that. I mean, most movies, you see that the dad's like
abusive,
like stupid or doesn't know anything, and it's like, no, that's not true.
Being a real man isn't being an idiot or just.
Well, they just make the dad look dumb, and it's like, dads aren't dumb. Dads know a lot. I mean, my dad's not dumb. My dad's in college right now. I think he's in college. He's doing something to get a better job, but I mean, he's not dumb. Shout out to my dad. He's probably not listening. But my grandma and my mom are, so that's fun. But yeah, I see it a lot in like TV shows. The dad doesn't know anything, or the mom knows. And I'm not saying that women are smarter than men and men are smarter than women, but
it's just the portrayal.
The way the show is showing them
as
like,
accurate
that's not,
as you wished it would be.
I mean, like in the movies, dads are bald, and it's like, sure, dads have hair. I mean, some of them don't, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being bald, but I mean, you don't base your character of someone off of one thing, I think. What do you guys? It's kind of off topic, but
off topic.
I mean,
man, we're so good at doing that.
I know, right? It's crazy. Don't
but
this out.
I think it's important to know that the idea behind it being like, if you're not if you don't have a six-pack, you're not a real man. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Because like, there's also the idea that to be a real man, you have to hide emotion.
Yeah, and that's not...
is so flawed. That's one of the things that I absolutely hate. I'm part of a youth group for my church, and we've had some leaders in the past where they've been very much against, they'll talk about their feelings, but they make fun of guys that, enjoy watching, we'll say, for example, romances, but they enjoy, giving hugs to their best friends or their mama's boys because they're in touch with their emotions. Yeah. And I think that is complete bull crap. I think that is stupid. Real men they're in tune with their emotions. They know whether they're sad or mad or happy, and they're willing to convey those emotions and learn how to deal with them. We very much characterize that as a mama's boy, or you're too womanly if you're going to cry during a movie, or when something sad happens, or you're giving a hug to this friend that you've known for a while, when it's actually the complete opposite. Real men, they're gonna express their feelings and emotions, and they're gonna talk about it, but in a respectful way.
They're not gonna get like too personal about it, but I mean, I know plenty of guys that are like that. Graham's like that. He'll share his feelings.
I share my feelings. I cry during movies.
He hugs people.
I give hugs to people that I love. I tell people that I love them.
I get a lot of hugs from Graham.
So I may not be one to express my emotions when it comes to like verbally doing it, but like, if something's sad, I'll show the emotion of being sad.
And there's nothing wrong if you're just that type of person that's very personal about it. Mm-hmm. That doesn't like showing their emotions, but realize that showing your emotions isn't a bad thing, and it won't make you any less of a man if you do.
Like, I don't walk up to Carson and say, hey, like, Carson, I love you. Like, not that way, but...
I don't do that very often either.
It's the respect between me and him that, no, he's a good friend,
And Emery doesn't have to tell me that. Graham doesn't have to tell me that. I know that they care about me, and they know that I care about them sometimes. No, I'm just kidding, all the time.
But there's nothing wrong with verbalizing.
No, there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey,
those
Graham."
feelings.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's what most guys think is like, oh, you're saying that means you're a wuss, or oh,
You're
cried.
gay.
You
You're
cried?
gay.
Oh, that's stupid. You
Like
shouldn't
the
cry
type-
about that.
Like when I said, like, you know, Carson, I should have worded it better. Like, Carson, I love you as a friend. Like,
I mean,
love
even
you
if you
being
said
a
just "I
friend
love
of
you,"
mine.
that's not.
Nothing
like,
wrong with that.
I know that you do care about me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be confident enough to go up to Mr. Peterson. Shout out to Mr. Peterson. I mean,
I love you, Mr.
I'd be like,
Peterson.
"Hey, Mr. Peterson, I love you. You're a great teacher. You're awesome." And I'm sure he'd understand. Okay, he's giving me, like, I'm giving him the amount of respect that he gives me back. And, you know, I mean, I could say it to all my teachers. I probably won't, because that...
Just
I mean,
be
it's not-
awkward.
it would just
All
be
the
awkward,
teachers
but-
listening in on the podcast, Carson loves you.
Hey.
Why'd you have to go deeper?
Why'd
for
you have to
that?
Deeper.
deeper? But yeah,
But
I mean,
that's-
that you shouldn't be ashamed of your feelings. And I mean, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, women love it when guys show their feelings. I mean, not all guys are hardcore, horrible people. They have feelings too. They can express their emotion.
Well, it helps develop deeper and more meaningful relationships when you're not just not necessarily faking
Putting-
it, but
but-
putting up
putting up-
boundaries and
or-
hiding yourself.
To word it better, basically, you're putting on a mask.
Yeah.
Because we all do it.
Yeah.
There's times when we
I do it all
all
the time.
put on. Because the you are when you're alone is going to be different from the you that when you're with people.
Yeah, and we all have different types of masks. I mean, there's a mask for when you're with friends. There's a mask when you're alone. There's a mask when you're with your family.
Yeah.
And there's a mask when you're with, like, let's say you have a girlfriend. You're going to be a totally different person.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's definitely not a bad thing. But
We got to move from this point where we should be able to express ourselves
should
and be the
be-
same person with everyone and not have to hide something.
yeah, and I know a lot of people that are like the same person.
And it's
Like-
admirable that they're willing and they're confident enough in themselves that they can express their emotions and be the same person around everyone.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be scared to do that because I mean, if you're like I've noticed this with Graham. I mean, I haven't seen him around his parents, but like when he's with me, we're weird. We do weird crap. I mean, it's not like super weird, but we're just being friends. And
And
when he's with his family,
the
I'm
one-
sure he tells his family about all the weird crap that we do.
The one
Yep.
thing that I accept about like a relationship of a group of guys is that the more there are, the stupider the group is involved.
Yep.
Like it's like you get this idea that like because when women get together they gossip.
Yeah, and when men get together, it's just freaking weird.
Monkey.
Monkey talks. There's
Well,
But
and
wait,
and,
I mean-
and that kind of leads into this next topic of it still going along with where did the real men go? But a lot of people think that when guys get together, it's just a bunch of guys doing stupid things, and we're just a bunch of dumb monkeys. And
I mean, they're
that's part of a guy's spirit. And first off, I gotta say that mindset is also completely wrong. If you think that you're being a man because you're being stupid and rowdy and destructive, that's something. That's a mindset that you got to change because yes, men in their nature, we're more of a rowdy type of
Yeah, we're
people,
loud.
and of course we're gonna roughhouse and we're gonna be a little jokey, but iron sharpens iron. When guys get together, the real purpose of getting together is that we can learn from each other, and guys think, and I think guys feel that they have to be stupid so that people feel that they're men, when in reality you can be a smart guy and you can still be a little goofy and a little bit of rowdy, but being a real man is not just acting stupid so that you can fit in with that stereotype. It's being
I don't think it's more or less fitting with the stereotype. I think it's the mindset that I want to be funny.
yeah.
I want to fit in with, because my group of friends, when we get together, we're dumb and funny. I feel like I'm not funny, so I have to work harder to try to fit in. But instead, you're just as funny.
Yeah.
You're self-doubting yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry in advance for using the term monkey in a derogatory sense.
No,
but we're
that's
not
just-
using it like that. We're saying
That's
that
just
as
funny
like,
for me for a whole other reason.
yeah, it's an inside joke.
It's an inside joke. I will probably take too long to explain it, so I just won't.
But another real issue that I have against what society has created and presented of this idea of a man is how they treat women.
Yeah.
There's the social norm and expectations, and this is kind of weird because because how society is moving right now. It's moving for more equal rights for everyone, including women, which is awesome. I think that's great.
Yeah.
But there still is that mindset where I don't know how to word this, but the man doesn't treat the woman as fairly as he should, and I know that's wrong. Like, going back to that youth group, I hope none of them are listening in on this because they're gonna kick my butt.
I'm like, what the frick, Graham? What's wrong with you?
But they would talk about women in such a derogatory remark because, for example, they were expressing their emotions, or they like watching rom-coms, or that was a very womanly thing to do. When I think
comedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, rom-com is romantic comedy.
Sometimes they can be really good, but there are also those are like
I've
really
watched a couple
stupid.
chick flicks and rom-coms.
They're freaking good.
Have
Like,
you
I
guys
love
seen
them.
Me Before You?
I have.
Tell you what, I listened to the soundtrack last night.
Woo.
Heck yeah.
We'll save this for the movies.
Movie, yes,
Good
but
movie.
I think treating women with a great amount of respect is so important. It's something that I've been lucky enough that my parents have raised me in a way where where my dad, he treated my mom with respect. He's never yelled at her, never hit her, said anything rude to her or anything like that. And I think guys feel that that's okay to treat women as an object instead of as a human being. And we need to, as men, to realize that women are just as awesome as us, and we need to treat them with a certain amount of respect and kindness and gratitude, because they really have done so much for us and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always... there's a saying. I can't remember what it is.
Is it that the woman always completes the man or something?
No,
like that?
well, that's kind of what it is like, but it's like there's always something behind the man. I mean, there are a lot of single guys that are great, like very respectful to women, but
And I think
you go.
And I think what Graham's issue, it stems from the use of pornographic materials in society, but that's a whole other conversation
whole
of
other topic.
itself, which we may or may not do.
But basically, general overview is that pornography teaches us to look at women as an object of satisfying our desires.
But even men, it can do the same effect to men.
Same thing for it goes both ways.
one's better than
but it teaches whoever's watching it, whether it's a male or female, that the person in the video is an object to satisfy our desires, and they're not a living person with emotions and feelings and thoughts, and that they're not just an object.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole
we will
nother day.
Probably make that an episode in the near future. But yeah, I totally. And I mean, no one's gonna have like this Hallmark fairy tale dream relationship. That doesn't exist. I don't care who you are. You cannot change my mind about this. A Hallmark relationship does not exist, and it will never exist.
And that's again the idea behind social media only shows the happy-go-lucky parts of life. But again, that's a whole nother conversation.
But that does not exist. There's no two people that are that happy. And life is life, and life isn't going to be like a television show.
The idea being that you get to that level of happiness, like as life progresses with them, but it doesn't start out that way.
No, it does not start.
Relationships take work.
Shapes.
Relationships take work.
Relationships are like pottery. You have to sculpt it into what you want. It's 50-50.
It takes hard work.
The woman has to put in effort, and the man has to put in effort.
And
no one should be putting in more than the other.
And it's going to take a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. You watch those videos of those guys, of the guys that create pottery, and it takes it takes a lot of not necessarily skill, but patience and focus and hard work.
Yeah, I actually watched a video yesterday of a guy who lost his hearing, and then he lost his part of his eyesight, so he can barely see. So he was into pottery, and you can't just put the clay on the spin table.
Yeah.
and just expect it to look good. He practiced so hard, and then he lost all of his vision, so he had to do it by feel, and he's still doing it. And I watched him make a bowl, and
It's freaking cool.
it's cool that he's blind. I don't know if he's deaf. I'd have to check, but he's blind and he can't see, and he's doing all of that by touch.
And
it's insane.
And we can kind of relate that to relationships. We're not going to be able to see into the future. We're not going to be able to look at it and know exactly what it is, but it's going to take a lot of leaps of faith and lots of dedication and hard work to be able to make those relationships good.
And I mean, I've had my fair share of relationships, and none of them looking back now, I'm sure I could have fixed most of them, but that would have been me doing most of the work. It needs to be
mutual.
Both. It needs to be the same amount of effort being put towards the ideal goal from point A to point B. And if you don't have that, then you either need to sit down with your
spouse or your girlfriend or whoever.
You need to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This, and you need to show them. Well, you can't show them, but you can tell them, this is my goal. This is what I really would like us to be, and push for that. And tell them that if we could make that, that'd be awesome. And if you can't make that happen, I mean, it's okay.
Everyone can achieve what. No. It's gonna take hard work to achieve a good relationship. It may not be the perfect relationship, like what we've been saying.
I mean, no relationship is perfect.
But that kind of goes back to being vulnerable and being willing to talk about our emotions and the things that we want. And we just, excuse me, that's another skill that we can develop, and that will also help us in our relationships. But go ahead, Emery.
To pose a counterintuitive question to you,
how much advocate?
Well, not devil, but it's the counterintuitive question or point where when you come out of an argument, your relationship is a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Because you, and I think the reason why it may be a little tense for a little bit because you're fighting and that sort of thing.
Well, and then
but you're learning how to express yourself, and the other teammate in a sense can understand what you're saying, and you can both try to understand what they're saying and try to compromise to make the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I like what Graham said. As a team, you guys are a team. You shouldn't be going against each other. I feel like we're doing marriage counseling or something. But
we are not.
If you guys wanna take this advice, go for it. But
we are not opening a marriage consultant office.
No.
Please do not at us.
Yeah. But like, I have a friend, my best friend. I was in a relationship, and he was like, "Hey, if you're gonna be in a relationship, it's okay to argue. You guys, like, if you don't have an argument, if you don't have arguments in your relationship,
then something's
wrong. You should have at least a couple arguments, not like humongous ones, but like small ones."
And I know this is true, especially for us guys. We're like, if we get into a fist fight over something,
I mean, we're not gonna.
Especially if we're enemies at first. As soon as the fist fight's over, we're like the best of
buds.
friends.
That's because we just sat down and we figured stuff out.
I mean,
and we didn't necessarily talk about it and handle it in the best way we could have.
I mean, we just beat the crap out of each other, but
we, in a sense, sat down and talked about things, and we just figured it out. And that's another thing that society has really. You don't see that much anymore of guys just being willing to sit down and kind of solve issues. They just kind of walk away from issues, or they throw up their fists and start punching. Well, and a real man, he's going to know when he needs to fight, but he's going to avoid every single opportunity for a fight. He's going to try to settle things with his words and not with his fists.
Because punching doesn't solve all problems. And I totally agree with what Graham and Emery have said. Because I mean, this is totally stereotypical. Like, this is what most people think guys and girls do. When they have an argument, it's, oh, I don't want to talk to you forever again. And then like 5 minutes later, they're talking. When guys argue, it's, oh, I hate you. You're a piece of crap. I never want to see you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I'm going to see you out back outside of the school. And sure, they fight. But guess what? After that, they shake hands. If they're respectable men, if they're actually men, they shake hands. They shake hands and say, okay, we're cool now.
Well, kind of tapping into that respect thing. I think respect is another thing that a lot of guys in society have lost. That's going back to treating women well and respect and relationships. I think we just guys have lost this sense of respect, of general respect for people. The stereotypical guy now is catcalling and talking about people in derogatory.
Cat calling guy? What?
No, just catcalling
Oh,
in general. But
What topic are we on?
but guys have lost this sense of general respect for other people, and I think that's where a lot of issues are stemming from as well, is because guys aren't having this mutual respect for everyone that they come in contact with. And that's something that real men used to be defined as real men were defined as how respectful they were towards other people. And now real guys are, if you go be rowdy and be disrespectful and you're a man in my book. And that's such a bad mindset, and that's not what defines a real man.
We've got to put respectfulness on our virtue list here.
Yeah, I've read that.
But
I think the world is lacking of men that have honor and integrity and that are honest and respectful, and they have morals and values. And that's what we're trying to hit at this episode. Is we're making a call for real men. We're asking for you guys to step up to the. We're asking you guys to step up to the plate and to become those men that we all know and love. Real men in my life, they're my grandfathers, my dad. Captain America is one example to me. And I'm grateful because he really is a true man. He's an honorable man. He shows respect to others. He does his best. He works hard. He treats everyone with respect. And there's just so many virtues that we can, as men, learn to develop that will create us to what real men are, and not the six-pack drinking beer and having this man cave of what the world has defined as true men.
Although it would be pretty cool to have a man cave.
It would be cool to have a man cave.
Man caves are pretty cool, and we're not saying that women can't have caves of their own. I mean, there's nothing against that. Women cave. I don't know what you'd call that.
I'm not being derogatory.
What do you call that? Woman cave?
Anyways.
The what?
I'll tell you.
Okay, but I mean, yeah, man caves are cool. I'm sure.
We're not doing this to kind of be degrading towards the other sex of us. It's just this is what we see. Mm-hmm. We may not be the experts at what we talk about, but we want to talk about.
I mean, we're only high schoolers. We don't know too much, but
and the fact that we are realizing that we're in a lack of true men today in this society is with our, like we said, with our lack of experience, really shows of how much our society is in need of real men. And we're going to be kind of having this virtue series where we talk about virtues, and hopefully from that we can kind of learn and cultivate this idea of what real men are and how we can improve and better ourselves.
Not even real men, but what everyone should strive to be.
What good people should be.
And also, like, not real men, but also real women, because I mean, there's
just good people in general.
Yeah, everyone needs to be respectful to.
This applies to women too. Sure, we're talking about men specifically, but this applies to male and female.
Yeah,
we're making a call to have good and honorable and people with morals in society today.
Alright guys, that'll do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. If you really enjoyed, please consider subscribing, as this is something that we're really adamant about. However, if you disliked, please hit that dislike button and let us know in the comments what you didn't like about it. Or even in the comments also let us know what you liked about it, and we'll see you next time.
And don't forget, be great people, do more, and cultivate happiness. Peace.